Hey pack leaders, is here. Our friends are protecting families, protecting the pack. I'm going to be doing a video about the breakout auto adjust that we have on a leverage trapper bot. Now remember that our bot is meant for like a set and forget solution. So this is for people who kind of want to do a little more advanced stuff with their breakouts and kind of customize what they have. Of course, we have a team. We're constantly changing and making the best thing that we can, and we kind of think this is the best that we could do. But you have any new ideas? That's probably better than what we would ever think of, and it makes sense because even though you came in fresh, you might have a fresh mind to it, and you might think something beyond what we are, our limited minds can think. They call it limiting beliefs, you call it. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that in our text file. So here, I'm going to set the premise here and kind of explain a little basics, and then we'll go ahead and show it to you in the chart and how that works. So the 1 day breakout time frame, so we're going to try to see if it's going to break out within the 1 day time frame. We have it set as 360, which is 6 hours, 720 minutes, which is 12 hours, and 144 minutes, which is 1 day. We're going to use 15-minute candles to calculate it. So putting more will kind of reduce the accuracy and maybe take longer to calculate. And then we're going to calculate this calculation every 30 minutes, kind of refresh it, make sure it's still on track. And so we kind of repeat the process for 7 day with this time frame of 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, up to 7 days. On the 30 day, we only do the 1 week time frame. So we look back 7 days, 14 days, 28 days, and 21 days, and then 20 days. And then on the 1 year, we look at once a month. So this is the minutes that's calculated for once a month, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, etc., up to 1 year. And it does the calculation every 60 minutes, and it uses the 1 week candle. Okay. And then this here lets you select, hey, which one do you want to kind of track? So this says I want to do the 7 day breakout. And then that was kind of what we started with. And then later on we're like, hey, well, what about the other one? What about the 30 day? What if that's imminent? So we're like, okay, well, we just make that auto adjust. Okay, so that gets taken care of down here, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The breakout take profit percent. I will talk a little bit about that later if I don't forget. I kind of forgot what this means here, so I will try to remember and then explain it. Okay, and then in the chart, and this is the 3 hours from breakout. So 3 hours from breakout, you can auto adjust a certain setting, and then imminent 3 hours within 3 hours till breakout, we're gonna say we don't want to trade, so we override to none. Okay, and this is where we did a breakout auto adjust. So like, what about the 7 day, 30 day, 1 day? What if any of those are imminent? Well, if you set that to true and then you say, hey, I want to maybe look at the 1 day, 30 day, 7 day, and I don't care about the 1 day because they're just false breakouts. You can set that one to false. It will only look at 7, 30, and 1 year. Okay, and then we'll talk about Apex auto adjust, what that's all about and how that works. And so when you going back to here, if you do set this as true, then if the 7 day is true, you could then auto adjust certain settings for the 7 day, 30 day, 1 year. Maybe each breakout is a little different. Maybe you want to set things a little differently there. Maybe you keep getting faked out on the 1 days, then you're gonna have a short the top, long the bottom kind of thing on 1 day, and then if it's the 7 day, to actually go with the trend kind of thing. Okay, but we just we play it safe by just using it as a way to block out conditions that we are not strong in. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and talk about it on the chart. So remember, let's break it out. So this is how. So we're not trading because we saw the breakout coming in. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of explain that. So remember how I talked about where we're gonna look at it from here. Let's see. So you can see the date kind of thing. So this is the 21 hour, and let's say before the breakout, 1900. Okay, we're gonna look back from 1900 before the breakout, actually before we even saw the breakout, and we're gonna look back 3 hours. So from 1900 to 1300, which is around here, we're gonna see where the highs and the lows are. So this here, let's see, I'm gonna make a little thing here. So this is from, make a little box, maybe a box will help. I'll make it no box. I'll just go ahead and from 1900, this was a high, and then from down here, this was a low. Okay, and then let me actually redo that real quick with a thinner point. So this was the high and this was the low within 3 hours. And then we'll look back again from 19, we're gonna look back 12 hours, so that's 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, is it? 19 hours. So we're gonna look back again. So then this is the, so within 12 hours, this was the low, and then from here, was there, do we get a new high? We don't have a new high, is it? So 12 hours, so 19 minus 12 is 2, right? 19 minus 12. Man, my math is so, I'm getting a brain fart here. 19 minus 12. 12 plus 7 is 19. So, okay, we have to look way back over here. So this is where it's, so this will be the, the high 12 hours ago. And then we look back again for the full day, which is like 19 over here. This will be the new low, and then the new high will be up here without having to change something. So it looks like it's up here somewhere. Okay, so based on that, we can kind of see that it's going to draw some arrows here. Okay, so if we kind of, so what it does is then it gets these 2 points and does the slope equation and calculates the slope and the intercept, okay, of this line, and then we'll then solve for that equation to find the apex where it's going to break out. Okay, and then what we do have is that if we say that it's going to break out maybe around here, and we want to actually maybe do it 3 hours from the breakout, then that's where we think it's going to be. So from here, we're going to calculate 3 hours, so that means it's going to be 2100, I believe. Is that right here? 2100. 2100 would be this zone here. Okay, so I'll just say maybe we think it broke out here. Now it kind of broke out early, right? So is it going to continue? I don't know. Okay, so if that's the case, you can then adjust it to maybe, hey, if I calculate it here. Now I would say that from my drawing, it might be a little different from the actual calculations. Okay, I kind of did this video earlier and it came out to be within reason. Okay, so anyways, let's just assume that, yeah, it's probably going to come back down, I think, you know, fake out, breakout kind of thing. So anyways, so we're going to go ahead and say, hey, if it's within 3 hours till this point here, this is the breakout zone, and this is the no breakout zone. Okay, so based on that, it'll auto adjust it accordingly. Okay, so I'll leave all these points here. And so that's what that's saying, is that 3 hours until breakout, we're not gonna do anything. We're not gonna change any settings. But if it's within 3 hours till breakout, we're not gonna trade anymore. We're gonna override our entry. Okay. All right. So what happens when the other time frame? Well, now the way I was supposed to actually interpolate these top points and kind of draw a line kind of somewhere through all these, and then kind of estimate that way, right? Kind of get a balance, but it's a long complicated equation, and I didn't want to do it, so I kind of simplified it a little bit. So if I look back here on these 2 points, what's going to happen is it's going to draw a line from here to maybe out here, and then this one, if it's done right, maybe the low would probably be here. I think it would have picked out this low as this point here. Okay, and it'll probably draw a much shallower kind of arrow, and so it'll kind of look like it's farther, and these are more imminent as far as inside. Okay, and then also it'll back out 3 hours from that, and that's where it'll stop. Okay, so that's how this kind of worked, even though it's kind of done incorrectly on the bigger time frame. That's what it's doing inside the bot until I either decide to do this linear interpolation kind of thing to draw one line through all the points. Okay, which is you know, it's doable. It's just gonna take some time, but anyways. So this will suffice for now. Okay. Now, what is the apex? Well, the apex is right here. This where those 2 lines meet is the apex. And what we did was we draw a line through the center of that apex. And sometimes these triangles aren't always horizontal. Sometimes they're ascending or descending triangles, so they all work the same way. If it's a triangle that's pointing up, it'll still draw that center line, but at an angle. Okay. And so based on that angle of that center line, it'll then do a certain thing. So let's say you know, this is a 1 day breakout maybe. It'll then say, hey, you know what, it's usually they're fake outs, then I want to short the top and long the bottom. You can then do a setting to do that. But as far as I know, we don't know for sure whether you can short this and it'll just come back down, or it was actually going to continue this move and break out, right? We don't know that for sure, so we just can normally just use that as a way to well, actually we don't actually use this option at all. Okay, so it was a good idea at the time where, you know, maybe it was above the apex. Since it's gonna look breakout, we're gonna just kind of overwrite long and just keep longing it until it breaks out, kind of, because that's usually what happens, right? But it proved to be untrue. So sometimes it comes all the way down and we're shorting this thinking that it's going to break out, but then it actually just curves right back up, and now we're in the wrong position, right? So we don't override. Okay, so that's how that works. Let me go ahead and clear this out then. So that's what the breakout is. And then let me talk about I believe we need to talk about the percent decimal, the breakout take profit percent decimal. Okay, let's talk about that. I think I remember what that is. Now let's say, for example, this is the breakout percent take profit. So let's say we are supposed to break out over here at the apex, but it breaks out early. So there's this tolerance, I believe, that if it's within so 1.6%, 1.618% of that line, we're gonna assume that here that this is the break where the take profit breakout point is going to be. Okay, so that way you could kind of set your you know, if you're already in a long position, you could then say, hey, from this point I want to take out take profit at 1.618 from that price. So it'll actually supposedly calculate, I believe, is that right? I think that's what it's doing. It will actually calculate the price that if this thing rises above I'm confusing you guys. Okay, I think what it's saying is that it'll calculate 1.61% as a tolerance of where this price is. So it'll actually calculate this line here. So let's say, for example, we were within the line. If you were here and it broke out early, then it'll actually know that it'll calculate this price here, that it's up here and down here, you know. And then now we're here, it'll follow this trend line and estimate where it's supposed to break out. If it breaks up, it'll apply, this is the take profit line, and this is the, you know, the breakout line, this is the breakout line, and finally it actually broke out this line. So then we know what the price is at that breakout point. Okay, so from that point it'll actually calculate a take profit up here of a Fibonacci of 1.618. I think that's what it has. So 1.618, yeah, percent of from that price where it broke out. Okay, and the reason why, because we would actually have a way to, you know, auto adjust to set a market order to follow where those breakout points in and enter at that breakout point, and then set our take profit up there. So once it hits that 1.618, we'll just close out the order. It's already set up. We just have to wait for it, and hopefully it doesn't slam back down, kind of thing. And sometimes it does go up, sometimes it takes forever to, maybe it'll come back down or whatever kind of thing. So it just didn't work out the way we thought it would work out, unless it was like a huge giant pump and it was like, you know, $1,000 in like 15 minutes or something like that. Then it kind of didn't work out for us. We set the thing too far. Okay, so it's just more like it's just gonna mosey on up, and maybe it'll just, maybe this wasn't an actual breakout that was serious enough on the 1 day, and we actually had to look further back on the 7 day. So let's see here, let me clear that. Oops, clear that. Boom. So that's why that's why maybe the 1 day isn't as what's it called, a good of a metric, because it could just be one of these you know, tiny fake outs, right? And it's just going to come back in when we should have looked at the bigger time frame of the 7 day maybe. And that's what we really need to watch for the breakout, and then set that take profit. But then you probably have to wait a few days for it to reach it, kind of thing, and it's going to take forever to break out of that. Okay, so anyways, hopefully that helped. I just gonna take a little more to kind of refer back to Sun Tzu's Art of War again. Maybe it's just a way for me to remember and reiterate on how we do things. So if you want to hear about that, stay on. Otherwise, you can cut out. So the conditions that we have is that this is the one that I think we're using right now. A victorious army first obtains the condition for victory, then seeks to do battle. All right, a defeated army first seeks to do battle and then obtains a condition for victory. Okay, so looking back, we're going to make sure that we know we're strong, which is another thing. We're strong in sideways. So we got to find the right conditions. If these conditions are right and it's sideways, we're going to stay. Now there's also conditions that are bad for us, which is the high, low, no trade zone. So if it's anywhere up here or anywhere down here within the last 6 hours, we're not going to get into it, because it can, once it hits the bottom, we don't know if it's going to continue or is it going to reverse on us. But right here in the center is where we are strong, so that's where we're going to stay. Okay, now if the price action is a certain way, if it's like maybe tiny, we're gonna leverage it up and increase our leverage. Why deleverage to 10 and you can handle these big old swings when you don't actually need them down here? Okay, so it's kind of like guerrilla warfare kind of thing, where the conditions are right, we're gonna leverage it up, we're gonna pick off what we can, and once we're done picking it off, we're gonna retreat. We're not gonna enter the market anymore because we've already reached our goal, and we're not gonna be exposed to the bigger moves that we can't handle. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back over to here. So it's important that you know yourself and what you're capable of, which is here. Let's see here. What's the other one? Here. One who knows the enemy. You know what the enemy is doing, right? Sideways, pump and dump, whatever. Trend up, trend down. And knows himself. We know that we're strong in sideways only. Will not be endangered in 100 battles. So we can do 100 different battles and we're all good. We'll keep winning those battles, right? But one who does not know the enemy but knows himself will sometimes win and sometimes lose. Okay, good. And one who does not know the enemy and does not know himself will always be in danger. Okay, and that's true too. And I think we've kind of learned a few things, and as we learn that we didn't know a part, that we did take a loss. Let me show my daughter's account here. Look at all these wins, right? So let me clear that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and clear that. So these are, call it the 100 battles, until that one time I was like, oh man, what happened? Ooh, it sucked. So we went out with 10%, I was fine, and then it entered again. I was like, why is it entering? It's trending up. So we had a little bit of a bug in there, so that caused a liquidation with a double down wallet. So that was like 20% there, and I was like, oh, that hurt. But we pretty much got most of this back. Another day would probably be we would pretty much wipe all these losses here, and then other than that, there's just more green here, and we had a few stop outs too that we were learning, and yeah, it's all part of it. Okay, so now we have a green track for the last maybe 2-3 pages, and it's good to go. Okay, all right, what else we got? Those skilled in warfare made themselves invincible and then waited for the enemy to become vulnerable. Interesting. So we gotta wait for even though we're invincible, we don't go strong at it like, yeah, I can do this. We still wait for the weak spots to go after. Okay. Perceiving victory when it's perceived by all is not the highest excellence. That's true. We'll talk a little about that, because even though you won the war, like you did this amazing feat and everyone saw that, like, wow, that's amazing, but and actually that was not good. You got yourself in a sucky situation that you had to dig out of. You're like you were surrounded 10-1, and because of your skill you were able to overcome the 10-10, right? Well, that was dumb. Why did you even get yourself in a 10-1 position, right? Where you were surrounded by a 10-1 army, right? And so yeah, even though it looked cool, it wasn't smart. Winning battles such that that the whole world cries excellence is not the highest excellence, right? So even though it looked cool, yeah, it wasn't smart. In ancient times, those who were skilled in warfare gained victory where victory was easily gained, where we took out the 10-1 by putting 110, who knows what, or maybe we used technology or whatever, I don't know, we pushed a button, they blew up, whatever, and we destroyed their army. That's the easiest way to win, right? And even though it didn't look glorious and we didn't get surrounded and we crawled out of it, it was just what we wanted. That was the best way to win the war, Therefore, the victories from those skilled in warfare are not considered of great wisdom or courage, because of their victories have no complication. Or not considered of great wisdom or courage because. So if we win a war easily, they're like, it wasn't. He wasn't that brave. He wasn't that courageous because he just pushed a button from a drone and dropped it and whatever. No hero stories there, but that was the best way to win it. Well, even though it wasn't like bravery and courage and he whatever, but you won and took out what you need with the least amount of effort from 10,000 miles away with the push of a button and a remote control. That's the best way to win it, right? So if we can use the least amount of resources, which we use like 10% now, and we can use leverage to achieve our 5% per day, and I need to make sure it's consistent. So far, it's been doing it. That's the way to do it. So we need to use leverage, not use too much of your resources, not to use too much of your wallet, risk less, but gain so much more with just a push of that button on that leverage, right? So when the conditions are right, leverage it up. So anyways, so yeah, I think that's all I have for this Sun Tzu, actually applying this knowledge and into trading. Okay, so hopefully that's helped. Thanks for watching, and I think it's just cool that we're able to after all this hard work, it's been 3 years now, we're moving on to 4, that we've actually achieved it. So we're victorious. Alright guys, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a year. We should probably really well off, maybe by September, as long as I don't sabotage myself or screw it up. We should be alright. Thanks for watching, and and by the way, I think I'm gonna remove the monthly leverage trapper bot and just be a yearly only. We need to put up more walls, I'd say, because we do feel that maybe if too many people get to the strategies, it will water down and make the strategy not as effective in a sense, because we're all battling against each other in a sense. And so yeah, so you gotta jump on as a yearly and no more monthly. And you don't jump on as a monthly, don't care, because we're doing good with just trading. And that's a sign too. If we're willing to go monthly and sell a lifetime license, you gotta be like, why are you doing that? You keep it all to yourself, right? So that's what we're doing. We're gonna keep it all ourselves. And you gotta jump on the yearly, because if I get you on the monthly and I give you 170 prior, I'm actually doing you a disservice, and you need to be on the latest greatest, and things change all the time, and it does change, and you gotta be on the inside. So alright, to talk to you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.